Welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an All Purpose Life, wherever you are and however you're listening to the Call Me Mr. Yu podcast. We thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. For your weekly mirror check before you change the world, baby. Raj, Herb in the house, Bo's in the house. Well, Raj is in the comment section holding it down. How you guys doing this morning, man? Everybody good?
Good,
Good
good.
weekend?
Good. I'm just
Yep.
I'm just waiting for that first Raj insult to really get the day started.
Oh,
So
you know, it's kind of obligatory at this point. But
yeah.
speaking of the comment section, I want to just give a shout out to our MVPs, man, that are out there in the comment section holding it down. Some folks are actually at work at their desk. Some folks are driving to work. Hopefully, they're hands free when they're doing that. And some are actually homeschooling their kids. So the comment section is just full of folks that are just supporting the show. Of course, mom is in the house most times. Bo's mom supports the show big time, so we love her, shouting her out. Got some friends out here.
How's it going, Wen?
West Coast Win is in the house. Good morning, Win. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you so much. All right, so like I said, much love to the comment section and those asking questions out there and listening to the show. Thank you so much. All right, so we got a couple of basketball topics we want to start off with before the football show starts doing football type things. All right, so any reaction to the NBA finals so far? I told you guys offline I probably wouldn't have a whole lot to say about that. I'm surprised by what we're seeing. I thought that some rest would help Luka and Kyrie in the group out, but well, I guess technically it may have, but I'm surprised by this. This is like not what I thought. Nobody wants to see a finals where the Celtics just kind of just roll through everybody. That's not what you want to see in any kind of championship finals. We'll talk about the UFL in a minute. That's going to be along that same line. But any thoughts about the NBA finals? I'm okay if you don't have any. We can keep right on moving.
Well, I think it's like Boston's the better team, and they're just showing it, and they're the deeper team because I think what was it, Game 3? You had like 60 from Kyrie and Luka, and you still lose. Like they're just deeper top to bottom. And so one of our buddies, JB, he had a show where he had a Celtics person on there, and they did a ranking of the players. And the first four is like Luka, Tatum and Brown, Kyrie. And then like the next three were Celtics. And that like kind of tells me everything I need to know about this series. You know, even with Porzingis out, they have the better team. Dallas has a good team. There's no shame. Look, they came from a 5 seed, to make the finals. Like that's a great thing. But they're probably still a whole nother year away. You know, remember, two of their better contributors, one of them's a rookie, and then two other guys just got there mid-season through trades. And they probably either need like another year of seasoning or maybe one more person, another scorer. But there's no shame in this. Boston has been the number 1 seed and the number 1 overall seed all year. So, you know, I was hoping for more competitive, but I'm not shocked.
Answer this for me then. So, with that being said, based on that assessment, are you saying that the Western Conference wasn't as strong, or did Dallas kind of get by when they technically shouldn't have gotten past Minnesota?
So the Western Conference is interesting because a lot of people feel like it came down to matchups. They felt like Denver was better prepared to beat Dallas. Dallas was better prepared to beat Minnesota. Minnesota was better prepared to beat Denver. So it's not that the Western Conference is weak, but different seeding come up, you might see a different finals. I think Denver would be doing better in these finals. A healthy Denver would be doing better in these finals against Boston than Dallas. But they ran into the one team that had the length and the size to bother them. And then, you know, if Jamal Murray's not 100% healthy, that probably hurts. And then losing some bench depth last year for Denver probably hurt them as well, with a couple people leaving. But I think it's just matchups, man. Okay. And I think the Thunder being the number 1 seed in the West was never going to work. They're just too young, you know, and they don't have a second real star outside of SGA. So it's kind of like, yeah, you won the regular season, but probably because you're also the youngest team and
Okay.
And then he froze.
Yes. I feel like that's going to be a theme this morning, so I'm going to keep my stuff short.
That's okay, brother. Thank you.
I mean, so I think one of the bigger surprises of these finals, because, I mean, to Herb's point, there's definitely matchups were huge, but the ineffectiveness of Kyrie through most of this series was a surprise. Especially because he's had holes in his game on both sides of his game, which is surprising. right? Yeah, I mean, the first 2 games he wasn't really able to score. He was out of position a lot. Even in game 3, where he put up numbers, right? I mean, he had 31, I think. There were still defensive moments where he was out of position, looked lost on the floor, and they were at key moments. There's one that comes to mind that he basically just spun around in one spot and then somebody hit a 3 over his head. So, I mean, it's a lot of this comes down to the just ineffectiveness of what Kyrie should have, what you expected out of him anyway. So for them to come back in game 4, elimination game, and have a huge game, we got game 5 tonight. So we'll see what happens. But so, at least they didn't get swept. NHL can say the same thing. The Oilers come out, they're down 3-0, and all of a sudden they put up an 8-1 game,
Yeah.
right? All their scoring for the series in one game.
Yeah.
But
so the next game they score 0, you won't be shocked.
Oh yeah, tomorrow, absolutely. Yeah, if they don't score anything, they just be like, you know what, we did our job, we didn't get swept, let's go home. Right. Yeah, and I kind of feel like that's probably where the Mavericks are going to be.
Yeah, you get the feeling like Boston wanted to end the series at home too, almost the way they came out in game 4.
For sure. Yeah, they looked flat. They looked like they didn't care. They kind of mailed it in. That being said, this one isn't in Boston either, is it?
Yeah, game 5.
This is game 5, right?
You're thinking of old school in 2-3-2s. Yeah. They don't do that anymore.
Oh, that's right. Now it's 1-1-1. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
I know exactly where you're coming. Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from because that's what I did. But somewhere along the way, when travel got better, they switched it back. So because they were like, man, if the road team steals 1, they've got a huge advantage getting that big chunk. 3 at home.
Yeah, true.
So I think
so then yes, I would say that's probably accurate. Win it at home, your celebration's way better. So. Yeah. I would guess both of these series end up going that way. I think both finals wrap up game 5.
Yeah. All righty. I'm good with that. Let's say good morning to some folks. Mom in the house, as usual. So faithful. Yep. Thank you so much for joining us, Mom. We appreciate you. Love you back. All right. Good morning, brother.
What's up, Dan?
Thank you for joining us here on the pod. All right. So one more basketball topic. This probably will be a lot more interesting for us, at least for me, at least. Fever and Sky. Oh, my goodness. Every show that I'm on, I'm talking about the Fever and the Sky. I'm being asked to talk about it like I'm an expert. I'm like, I am not. But I've been watching a lot of the games. The Fever and the Sky. Saw some clips of the past 2 games. This on-court rivalry thing is starting to pick up steam. Just put it like this recent Clark is picking up steam. It's like, okay, now we got physicality between the 2 of them now. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Indiana did win that game by 8. I think what Herb made a point a while back, at least last week at the very least. I feel like Clark and Reese in this game specifically, they're doing what they are actually good at.
Yeah.
In regards to Reese, she had 11 points, 13 rebounds. She's considered the elite rebounder. That's what she did in this game. Her shooting was like about 37% all year long. So she's got to work on that for sure. But the rebounding, she's doing that. And that's what she did. And what Clark did, she assisting and shooting the ball from deep. She did in this game. A lot of threes, a lot of times Scott tried to push her to the left. She made him pay for it. Hitting deep threes on them. And on top of that, driving the lane, making contact and scoring. I mean, she was just doing what you kind of expected. So it was a really good game. She kind of came out, I feel like in a lot of ways, came out of her shell a little bit. Kind of showed you a glimpse of what she can be in this league. It was really good. I like what was going on, like with Aaliyah Boston and Clark kind of getting in sync with each other. That was really important. Right. I feel like that was something that should have happened, a lot sooner, but it's a new team for the most part. You got rookies on this, so it's that. One thing about Clark, before I let you guys get into the details about this, is that I like what she's doing as far as being smart with her commentary.
Yeah.
Her responses to questions and stuff, because we at a place now, and I even see it in the podcast world. I'm sure you guys do too. Matter of fact, our Twitter pages are loaded with stuff just like this, where people try to goad you into conversations and agendas and narratives that have nothing to do with what's really going on. And we don't want to, we're smart enough to not get involved with it because we know better. We know it's a rabbit hole and somebody's trying to trap us in something. She's really smart for saying, you know what? This is about basketball. This is about my team. I got to work on my game and stay in it. People trying to go to her in the fights that have nothing to do with what's really should be talked about. A fight she shouldn't be fighting for the most part. She's focused on her team. They're 5-10 right now. Despite that record, despite those numbers, they're actually in the hunt. That's how much parity there is in the league right now. So they're actually still in it. The sky's about a game behind them. But I like her attitude with this. I'm not quite sure where we're headed with a lot of this because, I mean, we're focused on the basketball, but every time I open up my timeline or I go into the news, there's a news story about WNBA that's almost non-basketball related. So I don't know what's going on there with that. But all right, so before you guys jump in, take a bunch of my brother, Ben.
What's up, Ben?
He does multiple podcasts, but he does Sports and Money, of which he's allowed me to be a frequent guest on his show on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. So you can definitely check it out there. He's a fantastic guy, man. Great show, great sports mind, man. So thanks for joining us, Ben. Love and appreciate you, man. All right, guys, you can go ahead and jump in on WNBA. You don't want to talk Fever in the Sky? Totally fine. You don't want to talk Clark and Reese? You don't have to, but what are your thoughts on anything WNBA related?
Yeah, so the Clark and Reese thing is hilarious because people are really spinning that into something that it's not.
Yep.
That thing gets listed as a flagrant, and it should be, right? She made contact with the head. That's a flagrant every time.
Right.
But everybody's looking at the still shot where it's her hitting the head and just ignoring the 10th of a second frame before it where she took a swipe at the ball. Like she was making a basketball move. She didn't run up and punch her in the head.
Elbowed her in the head, like I read one commentator.
Yeah, saying. It's completely asinine that people think that she was just out there headhunting. Like she ran up, she missed the ball, and her follow through hit her in the head. Yeah. Is that a flagrant foul? Of course.
Yep.
It is. But she wasn't a goon out there trying to take her out. She was trying to make a basketball play. So, some of these things that are getting spun up are ridiculous. Yeah. Now, if she makes contact with the ball, are we still talking about it? It's still a flagrant, right? It's still a flagrant foul. So I don't know. Some of the narratives that the media is creating is ridiculous. And I don't know if it's just because it's a slow part of the year and the other finals haven't been interesting. I mean, they're just trying to make narratives for something to talk about because, I mean, baseball isn't that interesting yet. Still early in the year. You got both finals.
My team is interesting.
Both finals at that point is, they were 3-0 leads. So, I mean, it was just 3-1s. So, I mean, there's nothing crazy going on. And yeah, there's storylines in baseball, but you're not to a part where all the games matter yet.
Yeah, I'm with
you. But it's just a slow media time of year. And so I think some of the stuff is just getting spun up because there's added notoriety to the WNBA at the moment, and they have nothing else to talk about. So they're just trying to spin stories into stuff they're not.
I agree. Because I was like, if you watch the men's game, you probably see one of those, at least once a game, once every other game. Like I said, I agree. It's a flagrant. But had that been two other people, it wouldn't even been a story, But I'm looking at my phone, I get an ESPN alert about that foul. And I'm watching the game, of course. But I'm like, that warrants an ESPN alert, Yeah. But take any two other people in that game, and you're not even talking about it. And the hardest foul of the year. And the hardest fouls of the year against a rookie was still, Thomas versus Angel Reese. That got no pub at all. But had that been, Clark, we're talking about kicking Thomas out the league, at the very least. And it's like, I hear see words like assault being used and stuff. I'm like, it was still a basketball move. They called it a flagrant. And can I also say this? Clark got right up. There was no vicious elbow to the head like they're talking about, or she got right up. She finished the game. She didn't miss any time. It was not.
It feels kind of. This is just me now. It feels kind of sinister to me. How this is being portrayed, because even though we may not want to talk about it, nobody may not want to talk about it. It feels like you're trying to bring us into a place where we have a divide between two different people. You get what I'm saying? It feels like you're trying to make us go there. I don't want to go there. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I don't want to do all that.
And that's why I've avoided using the words.
Yeah. I don't want words like thug getting thrown around. I don't want no assault word. No. I just want to talk about the basketball. I watched some of these games recently with these two teams. Guess what? The basketball was good.
Yeah.
It was good basketball. I saw what you call it? Oh man, I wrote it down. I think it was Aaliyah Boston. She served up Cardoso in the game before this. It was magical. Yeah. Now, Cardoso is 6'7" tall now. Boston did a spin move on her. That Cardoso looking like it was her first time playing basketball. It was beautiful. Yeah. I like that kind of stuff. The basketball stuff, not no assault and thuggery, and I don't want any of that stuff. But it feels like you're trying to make us go that route and put one person of a people group against another one. It's like, that's not what we want to be happening. It's a narrative, it's an agenda, and it ain't right. Go ahead, Bo.
I mean, to be fair, like the hardest foul that I would give like that Draymond Green kind of goon play was against Angel Reese.
With Thomas,
where she like grabbed
WWE, man, she got choked.
Yeah, like that was hands down probably the most egregious foul of this of the season so far. I mean, the one where Caitlin Clark gets knocked to the ground by a side bump, like, there's no place for that in basketball. It's away from the ball. It was a dumb play, but like the hardest foul I've seen so far was that one on Reese. Like she got just absolutely slammed, and there was no attempt at a play on the ball.
Yeah, and like, Thomas got thrown out, so that tells you, okay, we thought that one was the worst. Yeah, but nobody. I looked on CBS Sports, and when I first logged in, the very first thing up there is Angel Reese assessed flagrant foul on. Okay, I was like, so we're not going to talk about the game at all. Like what you said was actually a good game. And by the way, you mentioned somebody in there. Boston was also a number 1 overall pick, which, by the way, that's how bad the Fever are, back-to-back number 1 all picks. Yeah. She's been playing better lately, and the team has looked better. That's no coincidence. They put everything on Clark, but I think in their last win, like before this one, Boston was the one that actually led the team. And you go to the highlight the next day, and it says Caitlin Clark leads Fever pass, and I was like, no, she didn't. I mean, but I guess whatever narrative you need, that's fine. But
anything that has Clark in the title is at least going to get the clicks,
basically.
Right? Oh, man. So that unfortunately is where we are right now with the the media.
Yeah.
I should have put Clark in the title of this show. I didn't even do that, but whatever.
Yeah. See, missed an opportunity, man. We could have had 1,000 viewers right now.
Yeah. And I hate bringing it up because it's never a slight to her. She's a phenomenal player. She's going to continue to get better. But as her teammates get better, and like you guys mentioned, as the chemistry between her and Boston gets better, the team will be better. So when Boston plays better, the team is better. So they've had a lot of high draft picks in the last 3 years.
I mean, that's the idea. That's the whole idea of your rookies and your high draft picks is they get better as they get into the league, right? I mean, that's in any sport. There's very few football players that come into the league week 1 or killing it. Like that's just not. It's not generally how it works. So
I definitely want to say this part too, man. That in watching just those couple of games, short sample size, I admit that. But I can't find out when they come on, so that's why that's happening. But 2 games that I did see, I'm seeing more camaraderie that seen earlier on. I didn't see that. I mean, players picking each other up, encouraging each other, backing each other up. I'm seeing that a lot more in the past, at least those 2 games at least. That is going to play a part in their success as well. So I think they're on the up right now. They only won 5 games, but they're on the up and they're playing together and they're moving the ball. There's a lot going on that's happening. Caitlin Clark is a distributor, so she ain't trying to shoot first. She's distributing the ball a lot. So she's being really smart about it and finding the open man or open woman in this case. So it makes a lot of sense. I'm really excited about seeing what happens with that part. That's why I want to hang out, man. I want to stay in that part. I don't want the black and white thing happening because I don't think it's I don't even if the players feel that way, I don't as a fan, I don't want that. I don't want to even talk about it on this show. I want to talk about the game itself, what's actually happening, not what's being perceived.
I think one of the things that I find kind of hilarious that people are talking about, especially when it comes to the rookies coming into the WNBA, is when they're talking about, oh, there's no chemistry and all of this. Of course there's not, because you go from the draft 2 weeks later into your preseason games, right? So you didn't get all of that practice that the rest of the team has had. You're just throwing a rookie that already is at a disadvantage coming into the league into a team that has been practicing together. So, I mean, of course the chemistry is not going to be good. You just threw a random person into the lineup.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I would hope that the chemistry gets better as the season goes on. Otherwise, there's some very real problems with the coaching staff.
Yes. Well, that's a whole nother one. I think people aren't very happy with the coach anyway. So that's always an interesting one. So like I said, they've drafted high. They have some talent out there. It just doesn't seem like it's working together at times. So, But Boston does need a little bit of the blame for the whole thing too. She is a number one overall. So the games recently have gotten better. The team gets better. I mean, it's just like some of it is just not that hard, but it is a Clark focus here. So it's, it's going to live or die by however she plays, I guess, is what they're thinking.
Absolutely.
I mean, the league didn't really help them out either, because they started them out against last year's champs and then last year's playoff teams. So you're sending your rookie out on a bad team to head up against some of the best teams in the league to start the schedule out. Like, that's not a great way to start.
Right.
Like, throw some cupcakes at them first.
Good morning to the Fun Football Podcast. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the show today, man. And love to hear your comments and questions out there. Appreciate you joining us. All right. UFL Championship happened yesterday.
Are you sure?
Kind of. In the same vein that I can't find WNBA games sometimes. I mean, I'm a fan of Ion Television, so I watch shows on there. That's how I find out that they're going to play on there at a certain time. Other than that, I wouldn't even know. So in this case, same thing came on the 12-minute mark of the second quarter. I'm like, oh, they're playing the championship. Unbelievable. So I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. I mean, if you watch the game, you know what actually happened. But go ahead, guys. Jump in real quick, and then we'll move on to some NFL stuff. What we actually do here on this show. Go ahead, man.
I said that I was watching it because Birmingham was in there, and like halfway through that game, I was like, "Yeah, I'm only sticking around because Birmingham is in it."
Man.
It just wasn't. And I know there's fans of defensive football, and you're like, "Yeah, the defenses came to play," and they did.
Yeah.
But the offenses were just, a lot of turnovers. It felt like no continuity.
So many punts,
missing stuff. It's just like
what city?
It was not good football. It just wasn't. Even on the drives, and Martinez getting MVP of the league and MVP of this game has to be two of the biggest. Like, can I use the word travesty? I hate to say this for the guy, but
travesty works today. Yes,
there was and you're a running quarterback, and there's a moment late in the game when they're up, but even his coaches over there's like, you're 1-on-1 with a guy and you run out of bounds. Like, that can't happen. He's like, I need you to beat that one guy, and there's nobody behind him to take off. And I'm thinking, you're running quarterback, because I want to say he had somewhere late in the third, early in the fourth, he had 84 yards passing. That really tells you all you need to know about the winning, about the winning quarterback. Somebody on defense should have been MVP of the game. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really wanted this
to be nice.
I really wanted this to be a good game, right? I mean, if you got to show out in the last game of the season, leave that kind of upward, hey, this league's coming together, next year is going to be exciting. And instead, Wade Phillips's team just did not come to play. The defenses, again, on both sides of the ball, sure, they looked good. I don't know if that necessarily was because the defenses were good or the offenses were just god-awful, because they were missing wide open guys. A lot of those drives were just 3 and outs, right? 8 yards, punt. I mean, so some of this, especially in the first half. Second half, obviously the Stallions started getting some stuff to get going together, but and of course the Brahmas didn't do anything all day. But man, I was really hoping for a good one. as you're getting into the second quarter, it was still 0-0. You're like, okay, we got a defensive battle, which, I appreciate defensive football. Again, a lot of it was the offense just wasn't executing, but hey, it goes down as a defensive struggle. But then after that first score, you could tell that there was just something not right with the Brahmas. They didn't come to play. They may have
stuff not right.
They may have gotten to St. Louis, but they did not get off the bus.
This can't be blamed on them being a quote unquote new league. This is kind of inexcusable. This is kind of inexcusable.
Yeah.
At this point in the year, that was inexcusable. Like I said, specifically on Birmingham side, because I paid more attention to them, it didn't look good. I kept wanting Crowder to come in there just to get something else going. Because like what I saw in the playoff game, it was just not good. There was no you at times felt like they were playing to go ahead and punt the ball and just see which defense would do something first. And that's what Birmingham's strategy felt like in the second half was, can you get us a turnover so we have a shorter field so maybe we have a chance? And that's like ultimately what led, I think, to the first 2 scores maybe. So it was just you could tell that was a strategy. Yeah, we don't trust this offense at all. So here you go.
And we discussed it. We discussed it a couple of times about the level of play. I mean, the games that I watched this year, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't watch every single week. I watched most of the games. Nothing happened until the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter, in almost every game that I was able to see. I was so blessed and fortunate to watch. Almost nothing happened. I'm talking about like not a score, or even a field goal until the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, almost every game that I watched. Why are we surprised by a goose egg in the championship game? We kind of, to your point, Bo, you already said it before, that it's new. They're figuring some stuff out, but it's kind of part of a pattern, and we saw it yesterday too. I mean, the 25 point. I'm surprised they got that much. It's not even par for the course what we've been seeing, but the goose egg
turnovers. That was it. Yeah. Offense did not produce 25 points. It was turnovers. It's sad.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like,
well, and you can have a championship game like this, right? And it doesn't necessarily take away from the championship game. What you can't have it is year one. I mean, think of if the Super Bowl had the Hawks versus Denver as year one of the Super Bowl, right? Whereas, you don't want to see that kind of beatdown in the championship game. You just don't. You want to see you want to see that next year where Seattle falls short to the Patriots in a battle that was a great game. I mean, as a Seahawks fan, obviously it sucked, but overall, it was a fantastic to bring it up. Game.
Yeah. I hope you guys had examples like this. I hope you guys had examples like this so you can see. I mean, my team was in the Super Bowl, led by Kerry Collins. God help all of us, and we scored 7 points.
Yeah,
that's not a good championship. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care how good the defense is. 7 points.
Well, no, but
nobody wants that.
Like, you can have a bad championship game. You just can't have it year one.
I don't want to have it, period. Who wants that?
Well, you don't want to have it, but sometimes people don't show up. Things happen.
He's saying that if you build up a little equity with your fans, you can get away with this. But the very first year, you've got to put on a show. Like, I need to see a good game. If it's going to be a defensive battle, I need to be like, did you see that hit? Did you see that play? Did you see it? And I didn't feel like that on any of it. I felt like, oh, they're going to punt on this drive. If the first play didn't come up with 7 yards, they were punting, and that was like,
for sure. Well, and if it's going to be turnovers, like, I want to see a contested catch, like a one-handed interception, whatever, like a good offensive play that was stifled by better defense, as opposed to you just straight threw it to the wrong guy.
Right.
I mean, that's some Pop Warner stuff.
Ridiculous. But well, I wasn't pleased. I think mentally I was already out before they start raising trophies. I was already mentally going by then. I'm like, okay, so let's try again next year. Maybe we could be Arena League. Maybe I get something out of that. Perhaps. When does that start?
Is Arena League still around?
Yeah, it's actually almost over. There are 2 games left. So this is, unfortunately, the Arena League was probably. If you think the WNBA has a marketing problem, the AFL really did. So they didn't have. In fact, if you go onto their website, you still don't have all the information that are supposed to be within the tabs. I actually found their schedule before the season started on Wikipedia because it wasn't on their website.
Wow. Okay, so let's get past the spring football idea. Forget that because that's almost over now. So okay, squash that. Looking at NFL preseason.
Before we move on from it, I am going to go to a meet and greet thing with the with our team, our local AFL team, and then I might be getting my media creds for their final game here.
Congratulations, man!
So it should be fun to go check out and talk to the guys and everything. But yeah, I mean, they have a huge marketing problem within the AFL, and I think it was week 1 or week 2 they had 2 or 3 of their teams fold up. So I mean, they were losing teams before the season even really got going.
Yeah. Let's jump off from that. Let's keep on moving. All right. So before we get into our college football and NFL conversation, real quick, I want to tell you about T. Higgins. You guys probably already heard about it. He got franchise tagged. He's about $21.8 million for a year, which is some sweet money, some sweet green. He got his hands on there. So right now, JJ, Justin Jefferson, 4 years, 140. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 years, 120. Jalen Waddle, Rogers boy, 3 years, 84.8. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles, 3 years, 96, and 3 years, 75, respectively. So guys are getting some money here. I think Higgins is hoping that he'll get that with Cincinnati. I would be shocked. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. It could happen. But the next guys up are Jamar Chase on that same team, which is why I don't think it's going to happen. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, we're still waiting to hear from. Deebo Samuels, and a guy named Cortland Sutton came out of the back like Seabiscuit. Came from last place. I'm like, where did he come from? Now his name is in here among the top elite receivers. When did that happen? So guys like Pittsburgh, Carolina, which would be the death knell for him, Kansas City, and Baltimore are potential suitors for Denver wide receiver, number 1 wide receiver, Cortland Sutton. What do you guys think about the Higgins franchise tag, his future there, and of course Cortland Sutton coming out of the gate as the next guy to get paid, potentially $60 million? No way. So, what you guys thinking?
Yeah, I mean, Higgins getting franchise tagged is not a surprise because the Bengals are trying to run this back. They figure Burrow is going to be healthy, which, you know, he probably will be because he's been hurt every other year. He was hurt last year, so maybe this is his year. But after that, they're going to have a hard time keeping everybody. They certainly can't pay 2 number 1 receivers, so one of the guys end up going away. So they probably end up paying Chase, and then Higgins, you know, gets traded next year. But yeah, I mean, Sutton isn't one of those top 5 guys, so somebody's going to pick him up. It does make you wonder what CeeDee Lamb is going to get, because that makes you think he may not be a Cowboy because they just don't have cap space.
Right.
Even with everything they've gotten rid of, they're still buried in cap space. Even next year, they're going to have a tough time because whether Dak gets signed or not, they're on the hook for $60 million. So it's
that's how much Dak wants.
Well, no, but I mean, he has that dead cap hit whether he's on the roster or not.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Cowboys are in a rough spot. They leveraged their future and didn't pay it off. So, you know, funny, but but yeah, no, it's I don't know, but yeah, him getting franchise tag, not really a big shock.
Okay. Anything on Sutton, Herb?
No, like I said, Sutton, I agree with that, is not one of the tops. I think the list that you mentioned actually made it worse, I think, for T. Higgins, like seeing all these other people get paid and him not getting his money. So you're starting to wonder, like, you know, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and it's laughable, I guess, because of their defense, but like, are the Bengals already kind of preparing for, like, this is supposed to be their shot next year, and then they're going to lose Higgins, and the offense is going to take a step? Like, it's just weird, you know? But if I'm Higgins and I'm seeing all these other guys, and I think I can be a number 1 and everyone else is getting paid, I'm like, I want my opportunity to get paid. But you really can't not address your line as much and not address your defense and, like you said, pay 2 number 1 wide receivers. So, I don't know. Team building is tough. Team building is tough. So.
Easy for us to talk about it, but it's not, not easy to make those decisions because they have lasting implications. That somebody else has money.
This one's going to be easy to make because they're not going to be able to afford them.
Right. It is funny, though, because it's like they're sitting there watching the next guy. Their contract depends on that guy. So it's like, do I rush out to pay my guy and see what happens, or am I waiting and then like I'm screwed because somebody else gets a deal and everyone's getting paid? So it's just, I don't know. Jamar Chase just better be MVP of the year soon.
Right?
Yeah, well, I don't know what Cortland Sutton came in. I'm like, I don't know where he came out of nowhere. But if we were looking for a receiver, if our team wanted one, I'm not thinking about him. I'm just not. T. Higgins is somebody I wanted for a while now, so that's not really news.
Right.
Not sure if it's possible either, but hey, you never know. Let's reverse course a little bit. Let's stay in the NFL, and then we'll end the show with college because we seem to enjoy that a lot. So we'll round our show out with that and stay there for a while. I think it has more meat on the bone anyways. But we had an NFL topic that we put out. I thought we put it out on X, but I'm not really sure now at this point. But which one of these teams will do the following? The teams are Green Bay Packers, Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, Los Angeles Rams, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, Green Bay Packers, the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Here are the 5 options for each of these teams that we got to plug in. One's going to win their division. One's going to be dead last in their division. One's going to win the AFC or NFC championship. One's going to play in the Super Bowl in the next 3 years. And the other's going to be in a full rebuild in the next 5 years. We had a hard time with this one because multiple teams could do multiple things, but we're going to pick just one. Make it fun, make it difficult. After we say good morning to the man, the myth, the legend, one half of the Herb and Raj podcast, where you can find every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Raj Ragday. Morning drinks, roll tide. My chart is attributed to Herb somehow. Okay.
We're not even making up the excuses anymore. Just, hey.
I don't know how, but okay. You not text you until your time the show comes on every Monday morning. What you call it, that Monday thing? You call it that for a reason, right? Because it's on Mondays, right? It's not Herb's fault, right? Come on. Give Herb a break on this one. All right, so guys, what you thinking, man? So first off, Raj, love you, man. Thanks for joining us over there, holding the comment section down. Appreciate you that, man. Go ahead, man. So
I'll give my first answer because I started at the bottom. If I had to pick a team for a full rebuild out of these, I went with the Rams because they were the only team on there that didn't have like their franchise quarterback anymore. Exactly. I'm assuming like with Stafford in 5 years, it's going to be gone, and they haven't picked another. Everybody else has a young guy, at quarterback. So I had to start with the Rams at the full rebuild.
That's exactly where I started too, is because Stafford will end up retiring and they're going to have to figure out what they're doing at the position. So that'll ultimately be a rebuild.
I did that too. I had another team that was right there neck and neck with them, but I went ahead and went the same route. So that's pretty easy. I know it's going to get harder. So I went ahead and had the Rams in that spot for a full rebuild for the same reason you said, because of Stafford. I kind of feel like there's some issues with some other areas of the team too that are getting ready to change. And guys that they can't pay, it's coming.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, for the longest time, they mortgaged the future to get that Super Bowl too. So I think that's the point you're kind of going with there. So that's the reason why for the Rams.
Absolutely. How about the next one?
The next one I went with, like I said, I started on the bottom. So the team to finish dead last in their division, the B team, I went with Indy. Just because looking at the divisions and the teams, if Houston, Tennessee, and Jacksonville are at least decent, or if Richardson has another injury, I could see them being last in the division, especially given this list. So that's where I went. I've already taken the Rams off the table. So
we agree. Me too.
Yeah,
I had them going dead last in the division. I mean, it could almost have happened last year too. I mean, it was very, very close.
Yeah.
How about you, Bo? Same thing?
Yeah, no, I that's exactly where I was.
All
yeah,
right.
'cause, I mean, the rest of the division is solid. So
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be wild if we were all five of even. Let's see what happens. Okay, go ahead.
Well, does somebody else want to go next on the next one then, so I don't look like
no.
Keep
Rolling, man.
So what is a good one? Where's the next one? I went with.
Go.
Well, let's jump to the top. Playing the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, I gave it to Houston. Not that I necessarily believe that, but the team I like the best. Like if I'm going with Houston, Green Bay, and Cincy, based on last year, based on the moves they made, and based on them trying to get maximize Stroud, I said Houston's the best out of those three with the best chance.
Before I answer, shout out to Bayou Bango. Thank you for joining us, brother. Appreciate you so much, man.
Thanks
you
for
have a birthday
stopping in,
morning as well, man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. So I went different. I went with Green Bay.
Okay.
What I saw last year was really, really impressive to me. I feel like them not having Bakhtiari isn't a weakness; it's a strength because he was always so hurt. So I feel like throwing that area up is going to be good for Love. I think that they're cohesive. I was shocked by them getting rid of Aaron Jones, but at the same time, it makes sense when you see what they're trying to pull off now with having Jones and Dillon out and having these new young guns, so to speak, in. So I went with Green Bay play a Super Bowl in the next 3 years. How about you, Bo?
No, I went with Houston, and that is mostly because the Bengals. I don't trust where they're headed.
Right.
They're going to lose a receiver moving forward. Their defense is still suspect. Their offensive line gets Burrow hurt all the time. It's tough for me to say that they're going to be good enough to get into a Super Bowl. I understand that they went to one, but I mean, again, you're going to start losing from a team that already wasn't complete. So I couldn't put them there. So yeah, I have Houston. I like what they did last year. They add another receiver. Should be interesting. And with Green Bay, I just haven't seen enough out of them. Their last 7 games were great. The 2 in the middle of the season were okay, and then the beginning of the season was terrible. So I want to see a little bit more before I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think they're building in the right places. That's why I think it can potentially happen. How about the next one, Harry? What you got?
Yeah. So to piggyback off yours, I went with Green Bay to win the AFC NFC championship. Because you got to think about how close they were. Well, at this point, I'm down to Green Bay and Cincy. And for a lot of the points you just mentioned on Cincy, it's like I'm putting Green Bay above them. So it's not necessarily just the vote, but on this list, the way I'm breaking it down, you got to think of the way they came out against San Francisco last year. They were a game away from getting to the spot where we're already seeing if they can, So it's huge. Can they build off last year? Then you might see it sooner rather than later. But it does seem at least they found their franchise guy. They've got a young core, so they're headed in the right direction. I would trust them more than Cincy. Like we're really riding that one Cincy, Super Bowl to kind of extrapolate their future success, and it's like it hasn't been that way since. So I'm a ride Green Bay a little bit more on here than Cincy. That's why I went with it.
Well, it's a gamble no matter how you slice it.
Oh yeah.
I'm going with Cincy on this one to win an NFC championship, and basically because I feel like what Bo said earlier, they kind of have to. You got all your cards on the table for the most part. I mean, I don't agree with what you've done in the trenches.
Agreed.
On both sides of the line. I feel like
what you haven't done.
Opportunities. Yeah. And you ignore that. You saw what the problem. You said, you know what? I got draft picks. I'm gonna not use them on. So I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but we're hoping for a healthy Joe Burrow. I believe if that continues to be the norm, they got a good chance to do that and even go beyond that. We had a super show a while, I think it was last year. We were talking about predictions and stuff. That's why I had them high on my list of going deep into the playoffs and even beyond, because I was assuming he was going to be healthy. Right. It didn't turn out to be the case, so that's why that was. But how about you, Bo? Who's winning the AFC or NFC championship from this list?
Yeah, so I got Green Bay here because one thing to keep in mind with Cincy also, obviously I'm wrapping up with them winning their division because it's the last thing they can do. But the problem with Cincy is even when they have their guy, they start slow.
Yeah.
So they find ways to lose games they shouldn't lose at the beginning of the season, and that's what derailed him last year. Is they started behind the 8 ball and then he gets hurt.
Yeah.
So
then they lose to Pittsburgh last year, and Pittsburgh was playing terribly or something.
Yeah, I mean they lost to quite a few teams. I think they were 1-5 or something to start the season. So, I mean, they weren't exactly out there killing it with their guy before he got hurt. So ultimately, I don't trust that. Honestly, I don't even trust them to win their division. I think there's other teams in their division that are better than them. But I'll go with Green Bay to get to a championship game. Just because, if they're anything like what we saw at the end of last season, they definitely have that possibility.
All right. So Herb, the last one. We'll go ahead
all I had left is Cincy, and there's a path to division. You're maybe a Lamar Jackson injury away from having a great shot at the division. You don't know what you're getting from Cleveland, and you don't know what you're getting from Pittsburgh offensively on both sides. So Lamar gets hurt or banged up or something, there's a path to winning the division. So I went with Cincy for that one.
All right.
I don't feel like they're as bad as the other two. I think with Burrow and Chase, they're not going to be in a rebuild, so they're not those two.
Exactly.
And last in the division, I feel like they'll be at least better than one of those. So it's like, with the choices given, that's to me their ceiling. So.
Copy that. All I have left is Houston. I feel like they have a really good path to win the division. We'll talk a little bit more about Trevor Lawrence's deal and the Jaguars next Monday. But I think the Texans can win the division. I think we'll go further than that, but of course we had a limited option that we can work with within this poll. So winning the division was pretty easy for me. So how about you, Bo?
What you don't want to talk about that? Because that definitely makes some
you don't have time. No. This college football question has to happen. I've been holding it for 3 weeks. We got to do it. Trevor Lawrence next Monday. We can't do it today. I want to, but we can't.
What are you talking about? We still got a couple of months before we even have to worry about college football.
Some of us like college football a lot. All right, so we're feeding those people. You don't have to eat, but sit at the table and drink your water, or we're gonna have college football to talk. All right? Okay? Is that all right? Come on, man. Yeah. Thank you. Come on, man. Who you got to win the division, man? Who's left?
Oh, I already said the Bengals will have an opportunity to win their division.
Oh, okay.
I'm not even convinced they can do that. They,
man, y'all killing them.
Well, no, because I mean, there's other teams that are in that division. Like I like the Ravens. I like the Ravens to win that division. So I don't think that the Bengals have enough. Do they have some offensive weapons? Sure, but they don't have any protection for Burrow, and their defense is not great. So if you are going up against a Ravens defense that, historically they got a great one and their offense can move the ball. Plus now you have to try and tackle Derrick Henry. So, good luck with that. And then you got the Browns. Their defense is fantastic. We don't know what they are on offense, but their defense is elite. So it's not like this is Joe Burrow's healthy again, we're going to go win the division. You need to show me that.
Yeah, I agree. So in Pittsburgh's too as well. That's just a recipe for Burrow getting beat up this year, and you're putting way too much on them and Chase, and you're hoping Higgins is happy enough because there's a very real possibility Higgins is out there going, you know what? They don't think I'm worthy of the deal. We're gonna see what we get out here. So there's way too much on their offense, not enough on their defense in a defensive division.
I'd love for him to be in New York. I'd love him to be.
And Raj, Miami has a chance to lift a Lombardi because they'll probably host it.
They will have free tickets to the game.
I feel like Raj asked a question that was sincere, but at the same time he knew. I'm reading his mind right now, but I feel like he knew.
Like,
be the result of this question.
This is like, what is it, a Dumb and Dumber? So you're saying there's a chance. Yes. Yeah. With that offense. I feel like
they have the same option as the Bengals.
Yeah.
They have some great offensive firepower. I don't like their defense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They have to get really hot come playoff time.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's exactly the same. Because like I said, the Bengals, the Achilles has been the same thing for the past, I want to say 4 years, maybe even 5. The lines, the O-line, it's the same thing. With the Dolphins, I feel like it's a little bit different. But a Super Bowl, it's a long way to get. You got to go through a lot of people. a lot of teams. Like I don't know. I don't want to crap on the Dolphins. It's not my intention here, but I don't know about 5 years in Super Bowl. I don't know. I don't know.
Here's the thing that's better for the Dolphins than the Bengals. Dolphins have a better chance of winning their division than the Bengals do.
Yes.
So, yes, thank you. My diva pose. The Dolphins have a better chance of winning their division and hosting a first-round game than the Bengals do, in my opinion. So that's the better path to the Super Bowl to start. But, a lot of things got to come together. You got to keep Tua healthy for a whole nother year. Like you said, defense has to have some semblance of a pulse. And, Tyreek Hill needs to keep doing Tyreek Hill things.
Copy that. Who's Angel?
You don't remember the Angel Reese thing?
Oh, wow. Now, his never stopped coming up.
Honestly, you need
the reason why I drink in the morning.
You need Angel on your defense. Man. You need someone to come and hit.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow. Okay. All right. So I'm excited about this one because even though I know we're still in the postseason, I guess, of college football, it's just fun, especially because Herb and Raj, they primarily do that on their show, and they do it very passionately, and they do it very well, as a matter of fact. They're really good at what they do in talking about this. But I ran into a few articles, and it just kind of sparked some things for me. Which matchup do you want to see on your team schedule, and which matchup off schedule, just outside of your favorite team, do you want to see? And it created a lot of conversation between I guess about the 3 or 4 of us. I'm not sure where Raj was at with the question. I hope he saw the question. He should have. But just wondering, like, what are you thinking there? And what it did was it opened up a whole can of worms for me. And now I got 3 games that I want to see on schedule, on Michigan schedule, and 3 games off. Of course, I'm a Michigan fan in college here. Bo was the Washington Huskies fan, and of course, you know who Herb and Raj root for. Herb and Raj, they're brothers. They root for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
They root for the Longhorns.
We were actually on. I was watching a show where a guy had watched us, and he said, "I think they're Missouri fans." I said, "Whoa, what did we ever do to make you?" If somebody thinks that you're a fan of somebody else, I'm not sure.
On a logo similar,
get caught a couple clips, and I don't know where he picked that up from, but I was like, "What in our show made you think?" Like I'm doing something wrong.
Is on a logo similar? Now this a couple of teams.
Georgia fans.
Maybe you can find them, but there's a couple of logos that are just like ours or similar. Right. I'm like, we might need to change that because I don't want no kind of mistake. I was in the supermarket and some guy said something about, he said Missouri or another team that has an M. I'm like, oh man, no. This is gold blue all day. So that's something else to think about. That's a topic for another day. But all right, so what's the game on you guys' schedule that you're super amped about, and why are you amped about it? What do you like?
So on my schedule, I was going to say on my schedule is an easy one just because we have they did allow us to have our Apple Cup this year, even though we're going to be in different conferences. So the fact that we get to continue a 114-year tradition is pretty cool. I imagine that goes away if the Pac-12 somehow limps along. But so I like the rivalry games, so I'm glad they were able to get that, out of conference game on the schedule.
Okay. So who's your team?
What?
What's the game that you want to see?
Oh, it's Washington versus Washington State.
Oh, okay. So that's going to still be on the schedule for you guys. I like it.
It is, but it won't be the last game of the season where it traditionally has been. I think it's week 4 or 5.
Okay. And you picking Washington? I would guess.
Yes, I would. I would pick my team on that.
All right, Herb. Good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm freezing.
No, you're just kind of blocky. Is all. You're 8-bit over there.
Yeah,
kind of just shimmering, with the angel-like glow. That's all. That's all that's happening.
The original Mario.
Okay.
That's all that's happening.
Yeah. Rod is stealing my answers over there, but Bama Georgia is the one every Bama fan is looking forward to. 4th game of the year, week 5, bye week right before it. With all the changes and not knowing what you got in there, and Georgia being the big dog, games at home. I mean, that's it. That's really the only game. There's other games that you like, but Bama Georgia's it for us. That's the big game.
Yeah. I figured we
that
go.
one's actually my out of away from my team game. Is I want to see what this new version of Bama looks like.
That's my that's the first of my of my 3 ones off schedule is Georgia and Bama. September 28th for those marking their calendars. I want to see that. I guess I'm obliged to pick Michigan and Ohio State on November the 30th. Right. That's supposed to be the game. It's true that I like because we have this new conference layout now with Texas and Oregon. But I guess I'll just go ahead and stick with the game against Ohio State. Let's see Ryan Day go down again fourth time in a row. That'd be sweet. How about out of schedule? I think Bo already picked his by saying Georgia and Bama. I did as well. I had eyes on Ohio State and Oregon and Georgia and Texas, but at the end of the day, the Georgia and Bama game on the 28th of September is the one that I'm thinking about. Raj has Bama and Georgia, so stole his. And his Raj is out of conference, out off schedule game. Georgia and
in conference, but out of schedule.
All right. So he's excited about Georgia and Texas, which is fine. Yeah,
Georgia going to Texas. Brother, that was on mine as well.
School superintendent. So it's like, wow, that's not nice.
Well, his dad is a retired school superintendent, so I can't really take that as an insult. So thank you, Raj.
I feel like it was not a compliment. Okay. So Bo ahead.
Tell him.
How about yours, Herb? What do you have for
my first one was you mentioned both of mine. Ohio State and Oregon is one of the conference ones I want to see. October 12th, because Oregon coming in to the Big Ten, Ohio State spending every dollar available to get their team ready for this year. So I'm really, really looking forward to that game. And then the week later, the Georgia at Texas game. So both of those, all 4 of those teams are kind of like right now, if you're looking at rankings and favor whatever, they're the ones favored to win their divisions or be in the conference championship games. So it'd be interesting to see where the teams actually are at that point and, if they come to play. So I'm looking forward to both of those.
Yeah. So I'm with you there on the Ohio State-Oregon game. Like that was one of mine as well. I think the one game that is probably going to get overlooked, but I think could be a fun game to watch is going to be the Notre Dame Texas A&M game.
You're right.
I think just for like entertaining football, I think that'll be a good game.
Yeah, Notre Dame ranked really high. We actually have a Notre Dame guy coming on in like 2 weeks to talk some Notre Dame football, so we can see where they're ended up at. Texas A&M always has talent. It's just like with your new coach, do you finally put it together like Jimbo couldn't? So that could be an interesting one. And to my disservice, when I was looking around the conferences, and I just totally forgot Notre Dame, to be honest. And looking at
it's because they're not in one.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I looked around and I said, yeah, I'm not excited about any like Big 12 games for real.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you had you pick 5 games and say right now 5 games that are not including your team matchups you want to see, is Notre Dame going to come up? They're not going to be in my top 5.
They usually play a decent schedule. So
yeah, but it's not going to happen though. They ain't going to be in my top 5.
I mean, I'm looking at games that I think are going to be fun to watch. Yeah. And Notre Dame usually has fun to watch football. They may not have the dubs at the end of the year, but they usually play good football.
Yeah. Notre Dame, Florida State could be interesting, I guess, too, if I was just glancing at their schedule. But
for sure.
Like, I won't be penciling that in to like sit down and watch. To like to your first actual answer. I won't be like, oh, what week is that? It'll be more like, oh, they're playing today, and I'm not watching my game at the moment, so it'll be more of that.
And Ricky's chiming in with
Ohio State, Oregon. Like I'll be watching that game. Georgia, Texas. I'll be watching that game.
I'm interested in just kind of, and this is just an overall thought about, because so many guys came out in the draft and they were really integral to their teams, and now it's like, okay, what are they going to look like? Michigan's been getting kind of talked about as if they don't have any talent on the team at all. It's like, okay, so I'm curious about how they're going to look. I'm talking about overall, not Michigan, but every team. Florida State as well, with losing their quarterback in Travis, and just how they're going to look. All this is predictive. We know it is, so it's like you got to see something happen first. But I'm just curious about how they look, even with Alabama. How they're going to look. Washington, how they're going to look Now that Oregon, they don't have Troy Franklin anymore. How are they going to look? I'm just kind of or Bo Nix. Kind of just curious about how they're going to look, outside of that now. But it's going to be fun, man. Okay, Ricky got a comment. Y'all put Notre Dame at the top. They'd be tough. Riley's a different animal. In your top 5, I want to hear the rest of them. What you got at 2, 3, 4, and 5?
I mean, what are you talking about? Top 5? Because I guess I just interpreted the question different.
No, this is a different question. I said if I give you 5 matchups that were not including your team, Notre Dame wouldn't be in my top 5. Is what I was saying. He's saying Ricky's saying Notre Dame going to be at the top of his 5. I'm like, wow, I'm just shocked by that. But okay, that's fair. Then they get Notre Dame. There's fans out here. They like them. I just got I want to see more. I want to see Georgia and Bama more. I want to see Ohio State and Oregon more. I want to see Georgia and Texas. I'm very interested in that one. I mean, I can go on and add 2 more, but Notre Dame won't be one of them. It's no offense. It's just what it is. But,
yeah, Texas is going to be good.
Yeah, I want to see another team that has some players that came out into the draft. How they're going to look. So I'm just excited about it. Everybody lost somebody, so maybe just kind of help things be kind of where they are. Everybody kind of
Texas. They really didn't lose a lot of guys. Like they're primed to be a really solid team.
Yeah, I think theirs were like wide receivers, and I think along the line, I think is where they lost and then recruited some. So
yeah, they have. I mean, commits. Never know what's going to happen with the commits that come through. You might end up getting somebody that's going to be outstanding and a game changer for you. It happens every year, doesn't it? All right. Well, I said Notre Dame opens up playing at A&M. Any chance A&M pulls it off?
Oh yeah, definitely.
When you guys mentioned it, so what do you guys think? The answer is
no, I think they have a shot. Look, no, A&M has. We're looking at their record from the past year. It wasn't a talent thing. They had the highest. Was it 2-3 years ago? The highest ranked class ever. The talent is there. They're a Texas team. The money's there. The talent's there. So they could upset anybody. It's just they haven't put it together the last couple of years. But
no, it's why it was on my list of games that will be fun to watch. Like that's going to be a battle.
Okay. All right, Ricky, already hedging. I love it. You said at the top and now they're in top 10. I hear you. Well, somebody else is excited about college football. I know I am. I can't wait for it to start after seeing the spring football offering that was given to us. And according to Bo, I already missed it almost the entire Arena Football League. So
yeah, I mean, it mostly hasn't been televised. So
mostly, I haven't seen a commercial or ad or anything. How much ads we get on the internet? I've seen nothing.
No. That's my point. Is that, like they really haven't been televised, and their marketing machine is probably the worst in professional sports. So, I mean, they couldn't even get. Not only were their team websites not up to date, so like our local team, we didn't have a roster on their website until 2 weeks ago.
You talking about for Arena?
Yeah. And
that's
so
somebody that we're vacationing with asked about that league, and I said I don't remember the last time they played. I didn't realize it was going on, but I remember back in the day them being on ESPN and like me knowing, like everything. Oh, hey, let's tune into the game. Now I'm like, oh, they're still. Until you said it this morning, I didn't realize they were still playing. Oh, by the way, just backtracking, Notre Dame is a 3.5 point favorite over Texas A&M, so everybody thinks that game is going to be tight right now. So
yep, but yeah, no, I mean it's so. To answer your question there, they weren't playing. This was their return season. So this is the first year Arena is back. They've been gone for, 15 years. But I mean, again, they just mishandled it in every possible way because, again, you never hear about it. So similar to the WNBA, they just didn't actually do any work. The difference here is it's their first year. They should have been hyping this thing up to try and get viewers. And exactly. I mean, you couldn't even find information on their own websites. So, I mean,
that's crazy. Why bother coming back if you're not going to try though? Like, what's the whole point?
Yeah, no, exactly. And then to lose 2 or 3 teams first week or 2 of the season. So, I mean, like clearly this is a major problem. I will be surprised if there's a year 2.
Is the Arena League where Antonio Brown had a team? Or is that a different league?
That was a different league.
Okay.
It was an arena league, but it wasn't the AFL.
Okay.
There's various other leagues around the country. Probably the most popular, the most solidified, I guess I would say, would be the IFL, Indoor Football League.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to close our show out for today. Ricky, got your question here. Don't get me wrong. I ain't got nothing against Notre Dame, man. Trust me. Matter of fact, I even respect the fact that they went independent. There's some things behind the scene that people don't know about with the school and why they decided to make that move. So I'm cool with that. I got them in top 10 as far as if I'm doing the power rankings right now of college football. They're in the top 10. So hope that helps out a little bit, but they're not in my top 5. And I don't care where they put Michigan at. Michigan's gonna be in my top 5 because I think they're better than what people are saying they are, despite how many people they lost. So that's just my thing. That's my take on that. I'm a fan. I've been watching this, and I'm just got a feeling about it. But
I always like that precursor. I'm not a hater, but I'm gonna say some hater stuff real quick.
I didn't say any haters. I didn't say hater stuff. I think I was respectful. Notre Dame, they're always in the conversation, man. So that means that's a testament to them. So they're good, man. But not my top 5. I got 5 teams I think are better than they are. So that is what it is. But any closing thoughts before we shut the show down?
No, I'm kind of looking forward to game 5 tonight for the NBA.
Yeah, to see if they show up. That'll be interesting.
No, exactly. I'm curious what teams are hitting the floor.
Yeah, if Boston scores like 30 in the first quarter, or they have a 20-point lead at the end of the first quarter, I will not be shocked at any of that. I can see Luka having 20 in the first quarter and then still being down by double digits, like that sort of.
Exactly.
That's what the situation.
Because Kyrie called it a career.
Yeah, like he can't play in Boston for whatever reason. Like he's never gotten over that. So
right.
Maybe just me, but this version of Kyrie that you mentioned earlier in the show, this ain't my first time seeing that man.
Yeah.
I've seen him a whole bunch of times.
It's been weird. Against the Thunder, he played terrible. He kind of showed up at times against Minnesota. It's just been bad. So, but like to Ricky's comment,
inexplicable nuance that just happened. This is going on every squad he's been on. This is not a new thing. So I don't know why people are surprised that Luka can't hold the weight by himself and carry a whole team by himself.
No. So the thing is even when Kyrie has been bad, he's at least had decent defense.
Right.
This time around, he hasn't done anything well. Like you would have been better off to throw him on the bench as the 6th man.
Right. They just don't have any other reliable, offense. Like I said, two of their other options just got there this year, and then Lively's a rookie. They just don't have another scorer, another guy you can give the ball to and say, hey, me and Kyrie, Luke and Kyrie are off the floor, go get us a bucket. They're gonna go, let's just call timeout so you guys are ready to come back in the game. That's basically what's gonna happen. So
unfortunately, I can't co-sign on potentially watching tonight. I don't know what's gonna happen. There's other stuff going on, but can't see that as a top priority. It might be in the background, like you guys talk about other stuff. It's in the background where you're doing things. I got a business meeting tonight. Probably gonna be in the background. I don't want to see the Mavs get blasted, but it feels like that's what's getting ready to happen. But anyways, thank you again for joining us. And we really appreciate all of your support on all of our social media platforms. Guys, everybody know where they can find your work. And we go ahead and close out for today.
Raj and Herb on Twitter, Raj_Herb, Herb and Raj podcast on YouTube, and then every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central, the Herb and Raj podcast. And congrats to the Stallions, man, on the one
Giddy up.
slash
the one Pete, exactly.
The one Pete / 3 Pete, we're gonna call it. So congrats to the Stallions,
brother.
Yep. And then, of course, you can find me on all the socials at Football Talk with Bo, on YouTube at Football-Talk, and, of course, Roku 5 days a week.
All right, man. Well, thanks again for joining us. Have a great day. Enjoy the music. Giddy up.